So Disney just announced that it is going to be making a very small hyperactive robot called Judy. Just take a look at this robot from the demo at Disney's recent show. You can all see that Disney's new robot does a whole somersault and many different really cool things. It's able to balance on its roller skates. So take a look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another robot being announced. It says Disney unveils robot that triggers instant emotional connection. So Disney recently had a conference where they released a bunch of new technology, lots of new robots based on lots of their Disney characters, and one of the robots that they did recently announce was one called Judy. Now this was truly a reveal, and it was definitely really cool to see exactly what this robot is capable of. Now I did actually manage to see a bunch of these clips floating around on Twitter. You can watch the original reveal. Disney have been making robots for quite some time, but this is the robot in question. So it's a very small bipedal robot that is based off the character Judy Hopps from the movie Zootopia, and as you can see right here, it's able to do front flips, it's able to do many different things, it's able to literally just, I guess you could say, be as agile as a very small rabbit could be. And on the demo, it actually did work. You know, sometimes these demos, things do go wrong, but this robot was very effective at completing all the tasks it needed to do, and it was honestly truly shocking at how quick and how agile this robot was, especially since it didn't seem too slow either, which is usually something that we do see from robots, especially since, as you all know, Google recently announced their robot that was quite slow. You literally had to watch it on 4 times speed, but this robot right here, as you're about to see, it was pretty fast. I mean, you can all see that right here, as it's about to do the somersault, it does this somersault pretty quickly, and it simply gets up straight away, and it's on rollerblade, so it's not just like it's on a bipedal sort of motion. It's not just walking around. So this thing is definitely going to be pretty quick, as you can see right here. I definitely feel like this is it's a little bit concerning if you are someone who is scared about the future of AI, because of course, imagine you're seeing, you know, at night some kind of death robot just running towards you, then just does a super flip towards you. It definitely is a little bit concerning, but of course it is just Disney, so I don't want to be someone who fearmongers, but at the same time, you do have to understand that, you know, it just goes to show that how many companies are going to be working on many different robots now. And of course, Disney, it does say that Disney didn't confirm whether or not park guests will see this robot at their parks in the future, but I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't just develop this just to show off the technology that they're developing. But yeah, it's definitely really cool, because it just goes to show how quickly robots are evolving, how quickly AI is evolving. And what's really cool is that, you know, they were saying that it's about precision, repeatability, and inhuman perfection. And they've actually managed to do that. And they also use motion capture data, which essentially just means they capture data from real humans performing the task, and then they translate that onto the model. That way the model looks a little bit more human, which is where you can see these stumbles. It isn't actually stumbling, it's just pretending to stumble, which is giving it a more human emotion, I guess you could say. So that's why this robot is designed like that. And the thing about this robot, which I kind of like, I guess you could say, is that it doesn't seem to have too many details in it. And I mean, from the wiring, from everything, it doesn't seem to have too much. I mean, one robot that everybody knows about is the Boston Dynamics robot Atlas. Now Atlas, of course, is one of the most advanced robots, as you all can see right here. It's able to, you know, do parkour, it's able to jump around, and I gotta say that if you haven't really looked about, you know, I guess you could say the extensive nature of this robot essentially, what it does is sometimes it's not always repeatable. They did fail a lot to be able to get this in one take. Like, they do have to repeat these takes a lot of the times, but essentially the reason I say that is because Atlas is definitely a lot more bulkier. You can see that the legs and on the back right there, it definitely is a lot more bulkier, which just goes to show that, you know, how they're building these robots at different companies definitely is pretty interesting. Because Disney's robots here looks as lightweight as possible. I mean, the arms look really small, the legs look like, you know, they're made out of, I wouldn't say flimsy material, but it must be some kind of lightweight, you know, material that allows it to move really quickly, that makes it truly agile. Whereas, you know, Boston Dynamics Atlas is one that doesn't seem too clunky, but you know, it does have this huge thing on the back that is powering it, and I guess of course their one is for a different application. So yeah, and of course this one, it does do flips as well. You know, that's why I added this one here, because Boston Dynamics does, as you're about to see, do the flips. But Disney's flip is definitely a bit better. But it's also cool because, of course, both of them can get up, but they both use many different ways to achieve this. And like I said right here, you're able to see that it doesn't look like it's making it doesn't look like it's using some insane wires or some insane kind of technology. So that's why I said this robot is going to be very, very interesting, because in the future they may just have a bunch of these riding around, powered by ChatGPT, powered by AI. They could really be powered by anything. It's definitely a robot that is I guess you could say very friendly. And you can see right here that the robot simply is just going to jump out of this box and it just simply start its process. And what's really cool about this as well is that I'm guessing we didn't really get some kind of estimate on how much battery life this thing will be, if it's going to need to be charged, but my estimate would be that the battery life isn't too long, because that is something that robots do face. They do require to be charged, especially since a lot of them are run by a remote battery. So that's something that is that's going to need to be, I guess you could say, increased if they do want to increase the effectiveness of these robots, is just adding a bit of. But yeah, I think this robot is still in its developmental phase, which is definitely really cool, because if this is just a robot in its developmental phase and it's not just like one of the robots that we've seen before from Disney, because I will get onto that later. Disney has actually made robots before in the past where they've done some pretty cool stuff, like from a really long time ago. Disney has been working on robots, but it's only for their theme parks though. So this does beg the question, is Disney going to ever go into that area where perhaps they might give users the ability to have this for commercial purposes? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm not sure, but I do think it is interesting, because these robots do seem very lightweight. They seem very effective. They're able to get up. They're able to interact. They have motion sensor data, and it definitely does look interesting. I mean, Disney isn't a robotics company by any means, but if the future starts shaping up very differently, as robots are becoming more and more interesting with the rise of ChatGPT and Google's Palm E robot, are we going to see the integration of many of these services? Maybe Disney opens up a division just for fun, because of course Disney is a company that is in a very interesting point right now, and I think that this definitely would be interesting. Maybe Disney's working on a whole series of robots, and if you're thinking that Disney is just doing this to catch up with the AI race, that's not true at all. So you can see that there's two videos that I do want to show you, because Disney is working on some advanced robots. I'm not exactly sure why, other than to increase their stunt performances, stuff at the theme parks. It does seem a bit overkill for a theme park. I mean, they definitely could use this to develop some kind of actual real robots, but these ones here that you are seeing are just built to consistently perform certain stunts. So yeah, you can see that this robot that I was just talking about is essentially one that is just based for the stunts, and it's definitely really cool, because the way that they've programmed this robot is essentially, it's like Spider-Man. There is some examples where they've shown that this robot was actually based off Spider-Man. They kind of coded it in a way where it does the same kind of effects that Spider-Man does, and here in a video a year ago they talk about exactly how they managed to do that. Definitely was very hard for them to do that, to get the flips and everything all perfect, but it definitely was something that is very, very interesting to see, because of course many different companies are taking their robot development in many different ways. Some are using it for commercial applications, some are using it to build I guess you could say gigafactories, some kind of factories, and Disney's just here throwing theirs about for stunts and just making entertainment with theirs. And it does look like they're honestly on a right path, because seeing a robot, like imagine this robot is able to land this, and I know that is definitely something that does look like it's going to be far in the future, but robot evolution is definitely pretty crazy, and this is what Disney is working on. This is a video from Wired from 1 year ago, and this is a video from 4 years ago. So yeah, it definitely just goes to show that Disney has been working on this for quite some time. And I know you might just think they're just throwing the robot about, but it sticks the landing every single time, okay? And I think in the future it's going to be able to stick the landing completely, where it's not going to need this kind of box, which is definitely going to be kind of interesting. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but it is really, really interesting. Now, I won't spoil the entire thing for you, but essentially the gist of the robot, if you want to watch this video, essentially what it's about, it's just a robot that is, it has the Spider-Man texture on it, and essentially what it does is that it flips over a certain amount, and it does look really cool. I'm not gonna lie, it actually does have a really interactive experience. But you can all see here that this Judy robot that they are working on definitely does look like it's advanced. It definitely doesn't look like anything too crazy. They didn't release too many details about this robot, but I will say that it does look, like I've said before, it does look really efficient. It does look really effective, and I do think it's going to be able to just zip around the parks and just literally talk to kids, and maybe just, you know, front flip and do kinds of tricks and stuff like that. So it definitely really is cool, and definitely make sure you check out a lot of these clips on Twitter, because it was circulating, but I just didn't see anyone really covering it. I'm not sure why. I was like, why is nobody covering this? This new AI robot has been released. It's definitely really cool to see it just get up, because we know that that's something that, you know, robots struggle with. And yeah, I want to say that the development of robots is honestly really interesting. It will be very interesting to hear exactly what you all think about this robot. Do you think this robot is scary? Do you think it is cool? Do you think Disney are going to become the leaders in the robot space? Do you think that they're going to start making robots powered by AI? Definitely the future can speed up very quickly, as you can see in the last 20 years. The kind of phones we went to, the kind of phones that we have now, it definitely is a very big change. So technology can evolve very quickly, and as we're seeing right beneath the surface, many companies are just showing exactly what they're capable of. And in 20 years, what kind of robots could we have? What kind of AI could we have? It's definitely going to be a very dynamic landscape as robots continually evolve rapidly.